Hello there, I'm Black Bright News, as you know, and I try and focus on different aspects of the news and stuff that you may be interested in. I never know what you're interested in because I'm not told, but I just go with my gut. And I wanted to talk about Epstein today, only because the Epstein Transparency Act has come out. And it made me wonder, what is this big hype? Why do we need to know? Is it just intrigue? Is it just, like when we're watching a detective movie and we love the suspense, we love knowing the plot? And somehow I think this Epstein story is a bit like that. So I kind of looked into it a little bit and came up with something for today's video. So basically, Epstein, Trump, Prince Andrew, and the Transparency Files. I thought I'd give it a little bit of intrigue. So, I've written my notes, as you know. Can't digress. I've got to go to work in say about 10 minutes. So long enough to do this video if I speak at a reasonable pace. So we're diving into one of the most tangled, eyebrow-raising stories of our time. Jeffrey Epstein, financier, socialite, convicted sex offender, and networker. Epstein, depending on where you're from, had wealth, influence, and was not a snitch. He was able to keep a secret, they say, about the rich and the powerful and the famous. But to my knowledge, he has never been accused of blackmailing, which he could have taken advantage of. But he kept their secrets right until his death. Now, we don't know if he was forced to keep those secrets and that, his death was foul play. Who knows? But anyway, he kept those secrets with him unless he had documented them somewhere. And they might come out in the Epstein Transparency Files. We don't know. So there has been a lot of hype about Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and President Donald Trump because of their association with him. They both attended parties. They even took a photo shoot to show that they were with the wealthy, which is what you do in those circles. And that was at Epstein's Palm Beach or Manhattan homes to evidence their connection, I guess. But just because they were at the party doesn't mean that they knew what was happening behind closed doors. Epstein was described as careful, cunning, and very skilled at compartmentalizing. Knowing him socially isn't the same as knowing about his criminal behavior. But they have a saying in Jamaica, if you show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. And that's the thing. Even in criminal cases now, they have this thing by guilty by association. So just by virtue of knowing a criminal, you can be incriminating yourself. So it's a similar situation that they're trying to find out how close the connection actually was between Prince Andrew and Donald Trump and Epstein. So why Epstein's association with Prince? So why do Epstein's association with Prince Andrew and Trump differ from each other? Prince Andrew faced civil claims from Virginia Giuffre, who said she was trafficked by Epstein and forced into sexual encounters with the prince when she was a minor. Andrew denied it, but in 2022 he settled a substantial sum. The case was concrete, direct, and legally documented. Allegations of sexual misconduct were made against Trump, which he denies, but he hasn't been accused of participating in Epstein's trafficking network. The distinction is subtle but important. One appears to be a direct legal claim tied to Epstein's operation, while the other is said to be more circumstantial, but often the distinction is blurred by the media and talk shows. So why didn't the US or UK government swoop in immediately and say case closed, justice served? Partly because Epstein was rich, powerful, and connected to the kinds of people who make politicians tread lightly. Ooh. So now we have the Trump and Epstein Files, Transparency Act. Fast forward to 2025. After years of partial releases, leaks and rumours, Congress finally passed the Epstein Transparency Act. Was it this week or last week? Anyway, it's been passed in this month, which will make the unclassified Epstein files public. There are some caveats. You can't release victim identities, ongoing investigations are protected, and child sexual abuse material stays off limits. But generally, this is the motherlode of transparency. Trump didn't actually jump at the chance to sign it. Trump knew his name appeared in some records, and let's be honest, politicians tend to be wary of anything that could stir controversy. But bipartisan pressure, congressional votes, and Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace all made it clear that the bill would pass, with or without his signature. So Trump finally agreed and said it was transparency for the American people. Now, the files are in the hands of journalists, watchdogs, and new fearless freelancers. NBC, The Guardian, Reuters, The Washington Post, AP, independent investigative reporters like Julie K. Brown, the woman who basically resurrected public attention on Epstein's crimes, and they're combing through everything. They're inspecting flight logs, contact books, emails, memos to untangle Epstein's network, identify enablers, and shine a light on what was long hidden. Redactions are expected. Redactions are when they black out certain paragraphs to conceal and secure the identity. So, what happens next? When the president delays signing a bill for months, but then suddenly signs under pressure, it tells you about a lot. It tells you a lot about self-preservation. Transparency isn't always about truth. Sometimes it's about timing. So in short, Epstein's crimes were vast, his network was powerful, and his secrecy meticulous. And that's according to sources. This is not my words. Prince Andrew faced direct legal consequences. Trump remains slightly linked by social association. The Epstein Transparency Act hopes to reveal what has been speculated about. And journalists are ready to allow the world to get a glimpse into one of the most intricate networks of power, influence, and abuse. I bet you they make a film about it. It's likely to be a story about crime, secrecy, wealth, power, and human tragedy. Because the tragic part of it is that we will never know whether or not Epstein really took his life or whether he was silenced. There's some kind of speculation saying there was marks around his neck that weren't consistent with the rope that he hung himself with. And it was just a couple of days before he was due to go on trial, and there's a lot of people who was worried about what he might reveal under pressure. So, yeah, I'm going to have to stop now. I've got to get to work, start what I'm being paid for, and that's all for now. So I hope you found it interesting. Bye-bye.